Let's go there now. Scored 32 points. Karl-Anthony Towns added 24 points and 13 rebounds despite a bruised left knee. And the Knicks stayed alive in the Eastern Conference Finals by beating the Indiana Pacers 111-94 on Thursday. Game 5 win in a wire-to-wire game. Brunson and Towns became the second duo to each score 20 or more points in each of the first 5 games of a conference finals, all-time, joining Shaq and Kobe in 2002. Jay, more noteworthy, Cat and Brunson's performance or Thibs' rotation?
I would probably say, I think a lot of times, guys, people discredit Thibs. And as I think it was a Herculean performance by Karl-Anthony Towns coming off the knee injury, I do want to give him credit. The adjustments I saw Thibs make, the one thing I've always said about Thibs is, will his rigidity get in his way? And what have we seen him do over this playoff series? That guy played 10 people last night. 10. This is now his 3rd game in a row. He's playing 9, 10 individuals. From a defensive scheme, what have we been talking about the Knicks and this year's team being? Not great defensively. They're not the traditional Thibs team defensively. What you saw last night was a change of style, was a change of rotation, and also in the way they were able to cover different schemes that Rick Carlisle has done. There were major adjustments made in his coaching staff. So as much credit, and it's a lot deserving. This is like literally cutting teeth here on this one between these two. I love Jalen Brunson and Karl Towns had a masterful performance. But I'm going to give Thibs and the scheme a lot more credit for how they forced Indiana to play and cutting down the number of possessions, forcing Indiana to be a half-court team. That led to the success for the New York Knicks as well.
I would have given my answer to that question would have been Brunson and Towns through game 4. But after seeing what Thibs did last night, you certainly want to throw credit in his direction.
Yes.
One of the things that I'm not going to let people do, however, is use the word discredit when it comes to Tom Thibodeau. That is a lie. Now, you have certain people out there, and I'll leave them nameless in the media. They know who they are, who go to battle for Thibs all day, every day, because they've known him for years. I like Thibs a lot. I'm proud of the job that he's done in resurrecting the New York Knicks franchise. Him being as hardcore as he is, dedicated basketball life for all day, every day, nothing else matters. I mean, you've got stories of players telling him to get out and enjoy a life for a change, throughout his career because they know how dedicated he is and all he wants to do is eat, breathe, and live basketball. The flip side to that, however, is despite how hard he works, how dedicated he is, how effective he is as a coach, and how well respected he is, when it comes to playoff competition and you talk about adjustments, there have been times on many occasions where he has been left to be seen as sorely lacking. And even as this series has waned, we were looking at their bench. What did we point out? That the amount of minutes that the New York Knicks starters have played in this postseason compared to everybody else was over 700 minutes. It was approximately 15 games, what amounts to 15 games more than other starters have played. Well, that's a problem because when you look at a Rick Carlisle, when I'm looking at Daigneault in OKC, and I'm seeing the personnel that they have. I also saw at the very beginning of the season where you're playing guys and you're working on developing them because you know you're going to need them as the season wanes and the playoffs arrive. That lone criticism has been the same thing that has been said about Thibs from his days in Chicago to Minnesota to New York. That is a fact. And so to me, pointing that out is not disrespecting him and throwing shade on him. It's saying that's the one impediment, his stubbornness. Like Kenny Smith had the line of the playoffs, Wendy, and I'll give it to you. When I said this the other day, Kenny Smith had the line of the playoffs. He said Thibs wouldn't want to play 9 people in a playoff game, in a baseball game. In a baseball game, he wouldn't want to play 9. He's supposed to have 9 people on the field. He don't want that. That's not Thibs. And that has been his problem. And the reason why he's playing these guys, maybe he has no choice, but it's also because he's hearing the noise because people are looking at him and saying, it's the same complaint we've had about you before, Thibs. It's the same complaint. And that's legit.
There has been some noise. I don't think the noise is founded because I think the connection between Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau is extraordinarily deep. and they've done an incredible job of giving Thibs players that fit the way Thibs wants to play. And it's one of the classic mistakes you see every year in the NBA is teams hire a coach and then don't give them the players. And the only way I would ever see Leon Rose after making the conference finals, moving on from Thibs, is if it would be a call from higher up. And that what's defined this era is that Jim Dolan has left Leon Rose alone. So I never found it realistic, but Thibs has gone outside his comfort level. You are correct, Stephen A. And I'll also point out that he changed his starting lineup. He adores Josh Hart. Josh Hart is a prototypical Thibs player. The makeover of this Knicks team started when they brought Josh Hart in a brilliant trade deadline move a couple of years ago. And he took him out because he knew it was the right thing to do. I want to point out that both of these coaches got their sleeves rolled up. What have we heard repeatedly from Rick Carlisle during this series? This is a 13-day operation for us. We're on day 8. We're on day 10. He has always been thinking about games 6 and 7, and you will see that as the Pacers go forward. What did we hear from Thibs after they had that really disappointing Game 4 loss? He sounded like Bill Belichick up on that stage saying, we're moving on to the next game. We're moving on to the next game. And he did. He made changes. He changed the way they're going to defend. These two guys are really working. They're open to criticism. That's the nature of the beast. These guys are elite at their job.
Take a look at the Thunder's road to the finals, gentlemen. In the first round, the Thunder mounted a 29-point comeback win, Game 3 against the Grizzlies. The Thunder outscored the Grizzlies by 78 points in the series sweep, their second largest point differential in franchise history. In the Western Conference semis, the Thunder clinched the series in blowout fashion, beating the Nuggets by 32 points in Game 7. The win was the 7th largest in a Game 7 in NBA history and a franchise record. And the Thunder routed the Timberwolves on Wednesday, 124-94, to close out the series and reach the NBA Finals. It was the Thunder's 4th 30-point win, setting an NBA record for a single postseason. SA, here's what I want to know from you. You were live and there in person. Does OKC have a flaw?
Yeah, they have some flaws, but it's not going to stop them from winning the championship. I don't give a damn who they play. They're just that elite. Their defense is that elite. Collectively, they are just something special, and they don't take plays off defensively. That's the thing about them that makes their prowess so significant and so pronounced. They just do not take plays off defensively at any position. Having said that, they're suspect from three-point range. They rank 13th of the 16 playoff teams, shoot 33.6% from three-point range. So we can't forget that. We also can't forget that they're like 11th in the NBA rebounding percentage ranking, particularly with second chance points. They've been outscored 245 to 220. And then last but not least, and this is the biggest thing for me, guys, they are a different animal when Jalen Williams balls. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. Like, you can make a game, they'll beat you eventually. In the long game, they'll beat you. But when that brother is flowing with SGA, because SGA is just something to behold. He's the modern day upgraded version of George Gervin, the Iceman. That's what I say about him. He's not a strong three-point shooter, but he does everything else. And he can get to the basket at will. And as slim as he is, it's amazing how he's able to push defenders off of him, bigger or smaller. I've seen him do it. It's unbelievable what he's able to do. And his fall-away shot is just butter. I mean, the brother's special, okay? But Jalen Williams, and I've said this on many, many occasions in being critical of him, the brother's got skills. He's special. He's a talent. He's a special talent. And when he gets going, nobody can beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. But when he scores 17 or more points in the postseason, OKC is 11-1. When he doesn't, they're 1-3. So again, it's rebounding, second chance points, it's three-point shooting, and it's a suspect, Jalen Williams, on the rare occasion that he is suspect. If those things happen, you can make it a series, but it ain't enough for me to look at somebody else, whether it's the Knicks or Indiana, and say they're going to beat Oklahoma City. I can't see that.
Wendy?
I'm going to answer the question, but I'm not going to tell you that you can do it. The way that you have a chance to fight them is to play half-court basketball, where you can make them run against you in the half court. You can defend them in the half court, especially if you can keep Shea off the line. One of the reasons why Shea hunts the free throws so much is that when they're in half court offense, they need that boost in efficiency because, as Stephen A. said, They don't shoot the elite three-pointers. They're not getting offensive rebounds. And sometimes their secondary scorer, Jalen Williams, doesn't have good nights. But good luck to you getting him into half court. Because they are like a magician, Molly, that stares you right in your eye and says, I'm going to take your watch. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to take your watch. And while you're watching your watch, I'm going to take your wallet. Because that is what they do. I cannot explain to you the hell that they put you in defensively. And here's the thing, as I've watched them over the course of the season, it's not like the opponents don't know. This is what I'm talking about, the magician. The opponents gird themselves up. They're like, okay, here it comes. We're going to get ready for it. And then they can't do it. They can't do it. You know, you watch Lou Dort, okay? In the NBA, in the modern NBA, everybody switches everything. The screen is just accepted. They switch, and the game is predicated on what happens after the switch. The Thunder are like, no.
Nope.
We're not going to let you switch. We're not going to just hand it to you. Lou Dort fights like hell over every screen. And then when Lou Dort is tired 6 minutes into the game, they point and bring in Alex Caruso, who might be even better. So, can they be beaten? Is there a flaw? Yeah. Can you get to that flaw? I don't think so.
Yep, and we'll talk about Anthony Edwards and the effect that defense had on him a little bit later on in the show. The only thing I want to say real quick before handing it to you, Jay, was this. When I was, I joked around when I had to coach the Celebrity All-Star basketball game and we lost, all right, because Micah Parsons and Puka Nacua were the opposing players, and they were running over men, women, and children. They didn't give a damn. And I went up to Micah Parsons, and he was like, they were out there. They were out there. I bring that up because Lou Dort is a linebacker playing basketball. He's a linebacker playing basketball. He's in your face. You can't shake him off. And he's just leaning and touching Anthony Edwards at every turn. And then when he switched on Julius Randle is a powerful dude, okay? Powerful. And Julius Randle was bodying him trying to get to the basket. And Lou Dort wouldn't move. He wouldn't move. He's a linebacker allowed to play the game of basketball. That's what they have. And the other two dudes coming off the bench, who are lead defenders.
You ain't wrong about that at all, Stephen A. I mean, he's a man among boys, and that says something about the 0.01% of elite players we have in the league. You know, there are two things that I think are fascinating when you think about the Knicks or the Indiana Pacers that don't bode well for the winner of that series against OKC. Number one is OKC is historically great in turnover margin. Turnover margin. I mean, all those videos we just showed, they were creating points off turnovers. And Brian, you were so right about making them a half-court team. Hard to do that considering that the Knicks and both Indiana at times have turnover issues. Like we've seen that with the Knicks last night. Just once again, like start first half doing well, and then they start being careless with the ball. Like that's where OKC takes advantage of that, and then the game's over. We saw that against Minnesota multiple times. And then also for Indiana, they like a volume possession game where they want to run. Lou Dort picking up Tyrese Houghton full court, Halliburton is going to be a problem. And then Alex Caruso, then Case Walls, a problem with that size and that frame. And then also, if you're going to beat them, if you get them to the half court, the only way to kind of combat that is you got to be a good rebounding team. You have to be a good offensive rebounding team, considering their numbers, team rebounding, are towards the bottom of the league. Right? So, but that's not what the Knicks nor the Pacers are really good at doing. So those are two things that really stand out for me about keys that you need. And you also need flawless execution. And like that's coming down the stretch. Which one of those teams provide the best punching chance to beat OKC? I don't really know the answer of that, because OKC feels like the only way they can lose this world championship is if they beat themselves.
NBA